What is up, you guys? So I was on a call with a subscriber a few days ago, and he was working on a project, and he asked me for help on this problem he was facing in his project. And I thought it was a really interesting problem. So I wanted to make a video about it and kind of go through how I would solve that problem. And just kind of do like this little live coding session thing. Because I think there's a lot to learn from this problem, and it's kind of a fun challenge to do in React if you're learning React or you're kind of trying to improve your React skills. So essentially what this person was trying to do was build on top of, so essentially what this person was trying to do was build this nesting comment functionality that Reddit has. So he finished my Reddit series. I'll link my Reddit series above if you're new to this channel. But essentially in that series, we build like a fully functioning Reddit, but we only build comments at the top level. So you can only leave top level comments. You cannot reply to comments. And so this person was trying to extend upon that and build this functionality so that you could create top level comments, but then also reply to comments and then reply to those replies and sort of have this infinite tree functionality like we're looking at here. So the idea here, and I challenge you to do this on your own because it's, again, a fun challenge, is to have this input where you can create top level comments, but then for every single comment, you can reply to that particular comment. And you also want to show this input for any given reply, or for any given comment, and then have the ability to reply to it. So that is the challenge. I think it's a really interesting problem, both on the front end and the back end. We were primarily talking about the front end, and so I'm just going to go through how I would solve this problem kind of from scratch and talk through my thinking process. I don't really have a script for this video, just kind of talking off the hip here. So yeah, let's see how it goes. So what I have here on the left is basically just a boilerplate Next.js project configured with Tailwind. I just went through this setup here. We're not going to focus too much on styling in this video because I just want to focus on the core functionality on the React side. But we're going to use Tailwind to just make it look a little better than raw HTML, because raw HTML is pretty ugly in my opinion. We'll give it some visual appeal. Okay, so again, we're going to model our design or our functionality off of Reddit here. We're going to have this top level input, create a bunch of comments, and then for any comment, you can reply to that comment. So when I click on reply for a comment, we want the input to appear. When I click cancel, we want it to disappear. And then of course, when I submit a comment by clicking reply, we want it to appear on the UI. And we want this tree functionality here. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing is we're going to need this main input here to create our top level comments. So let's go ahead and create that. I'm going to create all the components that we're going to use in this single file. Okay, all right, so the first thing we're going to create is going to be this top level input here where the main comments can be created. So let's create this input. The placeholder is what are your thoughts? Okay, that's showing up kind of weird. Let's get rid of, let's actually just put this in a separate div here because I don't want the input to be the full screen length. There we go. And I'm just going to make the flex direction of this column. Sorry, I didn't really plan this layout stuff, so bear with me here as I get like the main setup kind of happening here. And I'm just going to give this a gap of 3 so we have a bit of spacing there. Okay, so let's add a few basic styles to this input so that we can see it, because right now we don't have any borders or anything. So let's just add a border of 1 pixel and a border color of like zinc 400 or something. There we go. And let's just add some padding of like 4. Cool. And we'll make the width of this 100% of the screen. So it's kind of large. Or maybe we'll make it 3/4 of the screen. I don't want to get too caught up on styling. This is a problem I have when I'm developing. I make. Okay, and then let's add the button that is going to be our reply button or comment. I think it says, yeah, comment, just like this, and we'll make the input container flex column as well, so that the button is underneath. And let's just add some styling to this button here. Say border 1 pixel and border, or make it like rounded full, and we'll give this a border of zinc 400, I don't know. Okay, and that's looking kind of weird. And we'll make the width just like equal to 20 or something. Maybe 24. 28. Okay, and we'll make the width equal to like 20 or something. Okay, so the idea is when we click comment, so when we type something into here, we want to click comment and we want it to show up in this main list down here. So let's start off with that. Okay, so in order to render this list of comments, we're going to need some sort of state to represent that, because we're going to map through or iterate through all of these comments, show them on the UI, and then when a user clicks comment, we want that comment to be added to this array. So we need state to represent that because it's dynamic. So let's create that state, and let's call the state comments. So comments and our set comments is going to be our state setter function, and we'll bring in our useState hook from React. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize state as an array of just dummy comments that we're going to create. So let's just create a variable called dummy comments here, and it's going to be an array of comments. Now, we're using TypeScript, so I'm just going to quickly create an interface for what a comment should have, because TypeScript will make solving this problem a lot easier long term, so that you don't have these type errors and have to debug it and go through this console log rabbit hole. So we're just going to use TypeScript because it's much better, and you just should all the time. So a comment is going to have essentially just a body of text, what the user types into the comment. That's going to be the body of the comment. And then we're also just going to have an ID here, and this is going to be a string. Okay, and any other properties. Now, our dummy comments is going to be of type array of comments. So now when we create these dummy comments, we can just give this an ID of like, we're just creating fake data. So the body is, this is comment 1. So that's going to be our first comment. Our second comment can just be like this same thing. I'm just going to create 3 of these just so we have some stuff on the UI. Comment 2, and just paste this down here and create comment 3. Okay, now our state we're going to initialize as dummy comments. Okay, so we want these comments to appear on the UI down here, just like on Reddit. We have this input, and then we have the comments rendering on the UI. So let's do that. So underneath this container here, let's create a component that is going to wrap all of these comments. Inside of here, let's iterate through all of our comments and create a comment item for each one. So we'll start off by just getting stuff to appear on the UI here. So let's just say comment.body, because that's what we want to show. So now we can actually see these showing up here. Let's just give these a border so we can see their container here. Cool. That's going to be our comment. Maybe 2 pixels is too much. When we get into the nesting part, I feel like it's going to be visually confusing if the styling's not like somewhat legible. If we just leave it into like boxes without padding and margin, it's going to look confusing. That's what my intuition is saying. So I'm just going to separate these a bit. So let's create a container here that's going to be flex column, and we'll space these out by like 4. Yeah, there we go. So this is much cleaner, and give this a rounded of medium or something. Cool. And let's actually add maybe a gap here of like 6 so that there's a little bit of space. And maybe, let's add some margin top of 10 here so that there's some space between our input and the comments. Okay, so we have our fake comments. Let's make this a bit darker, actually. Okay, so we have our fake comments showing up. We have our dummy comments. We're initializing our state as comments, we're initializing our comments state as our dummy comments. And, in a real application, these would be coming from our API when the page loads, but we're just creating fake comments. What we want to do now is connect or make this input controlled, and we want to make this button actually add the new comment to this comments list here. So to do that, we're going to need to, again, create some state that's going to represent the text that is currently inputted into this input. So that is what is called, that is the concept of making this input controlled. We're adding state. We're making the input stateful. So let's create some state, and we'll call this state, let's just call it body, I guess. And we'll say, or well, let's call it comment body for clarity. And we'll say set comment body, use state, and we will initialize our comment body as an empty string. So now let's make this input, let's connect this input to that state. So we'll make the value of this equal to comment body. And we want to add an onChange function here so that every time we type into the input, it's going to update the value of comment body. So to do that, we can use our event, and we can set our comment body to be the event's value, event.target.value, like this. Okay, so now just to show you that this is working, we can open up our React Chrome extension. If you do not have the React Chrome extension, I highly recommend you install it. It's extremely helpful when you're developing React applications. So home, if we look at our, let me zoom in a bit here in the console. If we look at this state value, this state here is the comment body. If I start typing, it will actually update our state there. So this is a new comment. Now we can see that the input is controlled and it's updating the state. Okay, now we want to actually make this button, add this new comment to the comment list. So we want to create a function that is going to be called when we click a comment that's going to add it to the comments array. So let's create a function called onComment. And what we're going to do is essentially create a new comment. So we'll say const new comment. The body is going to be comment body. And actually a new comment we can represent of type, it's going to be of type comment body. What am I doing? Oh, I forgot the equal sign here. And we're missing an ID. Do we actually need ID? I'm just wondering, do we need an ID? I feel like we actually don't. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of the ID. But, like, I don't know. Let's get rid of it. You know, this is just a demo. Like, whatever. We don't really need IDs. But, I mean, comments would have IDs, like in a real app, if they were coming from the database. But I'll just leave it as a comment body. I'm going to leave it represented as an object, though. Okay. So now what we want to do is essentially prepend this new comment to our comments array. So we can say set comments, and we want to take the previous value of our comment state. So we can use our keyword prev here, and the value we want to update this comment state to be is going to be an array with this new comment prepended at the top of the array. So we can take our new comment, put it at the top, and then we want to add all of the previous comments. Perfect. So now we have a function that can update our comment state. So if we click, or if we add an onClick function to our button here, and we can essentially create a callback that is going to call our what did we call it? onComment function. onComment, like this. Okay, so now when I click comment, it should appear in the list, which it is. Cool. Now, these are not being persisted in a database or anything, so every time I refresh the page, we're just going to have that initial dummy comments state. So what I'm going to do quickly is just set the comment body to be an empty string every time we create a new comment. So, hey, new comment. And now the input is empty. Okay, so that's step one. We have our input to create top-level comments. We are rendering our top-level comments. We have a button to actually add these new comments to our comments array. Now let's talk about the nested part of the comments. So again, if we go back to Reddit, on every single one of these comment items, we want to be able to click some button that opens up an input that allows us to reply to that particular comment, and we want this functionality of showing the input and hiding the input. Okay, and so this is where the person I was on the call with was struggling. They were trying to figure out, like, well, how do I get this input to appear on a single comment item? And that's sort of where this discussion began. So what we can do is create some sort of state that represents whether or not we are showing this input or not. And because each individual input can show or hide, sorry, not input, each individual comment can show or hide this input, we are going to need to create this state on every single individual comment item. We cannot just have a single state to control this. We need every comment item to have its own independent state of whether or not the input is being shown. If that's not clear, let's create that and it should become more clear. So let's go back to our thing here. So what I'm going to do is create a new component called comment item. We're just going to clean this code up a bit here. Again, I'm just creating all these components in this single file here, so it might get a bit long, but for the sake of the tutorial, it's good. So rather than create this HTML in here, what I'm going to do is cut this out, and inside of our comment item, we're going to return this. Now this is freaking out because we don't have access to that comment inside of the comment item. So what we're going to do is have to pass that as a prop to our comment item. So in here, for every comment, we are going to create a comment item and pass in a comment. Comment is equal to comment, and then we will grab the comment down here. Now, TypeScript is not happy. So what we're going to do is create an interface that represents the comment item props. So the comment item is going to take in a comment, and this is going to be of type comment. Now our props, we can declare as type comment item props. There we go. Now everything's happy and our app is functioning the exact same as it was before. The reason I created this individual comment item is so that we can, add this nested functionality into each individual item, and it just keeps the code a lot cleaner. So as I was mentioning before, for every comment item, we are going to need to show this reply input. So let's just create that and see what happens. So we have the comment body here. Let's actually wrap this in a span tag. And then underneath here, let's create another input. And let's add the same styling. Whoops. Let's add the same styling and placeholder to this input here, like this. So now we can see this input is appearing for all of our comment items. However, it looks very ugly, and on Reddit, it's actually not showing. Like when you first load this page, there are no inputs on these replies. Only when you click reply does that input appear. So that's the exact functionality we're going for as well. So let's change the styling of this comment item here. Let's change this to flex, and let's make the flex direction column so that our input is underneath. And we're going to add a button here that is going to say reply, and this reply button is going to represent this reply button here. Again, let's add some styling to this button so that we can see it on the UI. There we go. Okay. So again, this is not as pretty as the real Reddit UI, but we're going for functionality here, not aesthetics. Okay, again, as I mentioned, we now need to control whether or not this input is shown or not by some sort of state. And each individual component is going to need this state because they're functioning independently, right? Like if comment 1 is showing the input, that doesn't necessarily mean comment 3 is showing the input, right? The user is only replying to one comment at a time. So let's create some state called is replying. And this is going to be a Boolean value that is going to control whether or not we are seeing the input. So we're going to initialize this as false by default. Now, we only want to show this input if is replying is true. To write that out in React, we can say if is replying is true, we want to show this input. Okay, so and this is how you can declare that in React, is replying and the double ampersand sign with the input. Now you see that they are all hidden because we are not replying right now, so it's hidden. If I initialize this as true, you'll see that it appears, but it's false by default because that's how Reddit functions. However, we want that to go to true when we click reply. Okay, so how do we do that? When we click this reply button, we want to essentially just make the value of is replying true. So on click, we can set is replying to be true. So now if I click reply, the input appears and we have it independent. Each comment is independent here. So we're replying to comment 2, I can reply to comment 1, etc. The input's only appearing for that particular comment that I'm replying to. Now we want to be able to hide this input if we have made it appear previously, because that's what you can do on Reddit. If I click reply, I can click cancel and it will hide the input. So let's add that. It's very easy to add that. What we can do is we only want to show this reply button, or how do we want to do this? Yeah, what I'm gonna do is add a ternary operator here that is going to basically either show the reply button or show the cancel button, depending on whether the value of is replying is true. So if is replying is true, we are going to want to show a button that says cancel. So writing ternary operators is always a bit confusing. If is replying is true, we want a button that says cancel. And if it's false, which is the default value, we want a button that shows reply. Okay, when we click cancel, we want to set is reply to false so that the input goes away. So what does that look like? If I click cancel now, it hides. If I click reply, it appears. And this is, again, being controlled independently, or on each comment independently. Okay, very cool. This is taking longer than I thought. It's more of it's a more complex problem than meets the eye. Okay. So now we can add top level comments. Hey, dude. And we can reply to those comments. Now let's get into the real nested functionality part of this tutorial here. And this is where it starts to get a little bit confusing and the problem starts to gain complexity. So each comment has its own comments, right? Like if I look at Reddit, this comment that we're looking at here has its own comments, because you can comment on comments and then you can comment on those comments. So we have this nested functionality, this like recursive functionality here. So for each comment item, we need to create its own independent comment state, again, because a comment has comments. So for each comment item, we can create another comments state that will represent this particular comments. This is so confusing to explain. Hopefully I'm explaining this correct or clearly. Because we can't, how do I explain this the best? We can't really control because of this infinite nesting functionality, like you can comment, you can have like a nested to an infinite number of levels. You can't really control that at this top level comment state, right? You can't have like comment. So one thing we're going to need to add to our comment interface here is actually a comments array. And this is going to be an array of type comment. So this is where sort of the recursion happens. A comment has comments, and those comments are in itself comments. So let's come down here and initialize these first dummy comments as just an empty array. And every time a new comment is created, we want to initialize it to have an empty array of comments. Okay. So again, getting back into the nested functionality, when I click reply to this comment, we want to take that new comment and add it to the comments comment array. So again, we're going to need to create another function that's going to update the comments comment. And yeah, this is kind of becoming confusing. So what I'm going to do is create, how should I do this? I kind of want to create like a separate comment input, because if you look on Reddit, we're reusing the same component here. Like this comment, this main input is the same component as each individual comment item's input. So what I'm going to do is create another component called comment input. So say const comment input, and inside of here we are going to return an input. This input can be this here. So we won't have to redeclare this same input every single time. So this comment input is going to return this input here, and we're actually going to put that comment body state inside of the comment input component. So we can take this, cut it out of our main component, and put it down here in our comment input. Now hopefully this nested functionality becomes more clear as we get into it, because it is a bit confusing. So now up here in our main home component, we can cut this out and declare our comment input just like this. We can get rid of this, and rather than use the comment body state that used to exist up here, we're going to pass a new comment as an argument to this onComment function, and that is how we're going to be able to update our top level comment state. So this is going to take in an argument of type comment, and rather than create this new comment, or maybe I'll call this one new comment like this. On comment, on click, we want to, wait, how, now I'm getting confused. So we have our button that says comment. When I click this, I want to call on comment. So I think I'm going to move actually this button here. I'm going to move also inside of our comment input. So down here, this is complaining. I'm actually going to grab this wrapper div as well with our flex column. Put this in our comment input like this. I'm missing a closing tag on this button. There we go. Okay, yes, this is okay. Now it's becoming more clear. So I think we're going to need to pass our comment input our onComment function, because inside of this comment input, we are going to want to update our comments state. And we're making the comment or the onComment function a prop to our comment input function, because we're going to be passing in like a different onComment function for the top level comments. This is where it gets confusing even to explain this problem. Each comment item, inside of here, we're going to create another function called onComment. And this onComment function is going to have to update the individual comments array. And again, this is where it gets confusing, so bear with me here as we build this out. But what I'm saying is down here, if we are replying to a comment, we want to show that same comment input. So let's save this. Let's go back to our app so we can actually see what's happening there. So we have comment input. Let's just comment this out for a sec. Okay, so this is appearing the exact same. in our main function, we have our comment input, and we are rendering all of the comment items. These are our top level comments. Inside of, I'm going to move this comment input down below here. Our comment input is the component with the new comment body state. And every time we click comment, we are going to want to update the parent's comments array. This is where it's getting nested, right? We have our top level comments. So in our top level comments, our comment input is going to be updating our top level comment state. For each comment item though, our comment input is going to be updating the comments. So I feel like I'm explaining this like 100 times, but I'm trying to explain it more clear each time. So my apologies if this is coming across unclear, but it is a tricky problem due to this recursive thing. So for each comment item, we're going to need to create its own comments state. So comments and set comments. Use state, and we're going to initialize the value of the comments to be the parent level comments. And sorry, I think this is supposed to be comments. My apologies there. Comments, plural, just like that. So comment.comments. So let's save this. Nothing's breaking in our app. Then on comment, this is again going to take in a new comment. And we're going to basically do the same thing here. We're going to say, are we updating? Yeah, we essentially just want to say set comments to be the new comment at the top, and then the previous value of the comments. And then we can pass this comment input function, our onComment function. Currently, we're not declaring any props for our comment input. So right now it's actually broken. So if I try to add a comment, this is not going to work because this button isn't doing anything, right? There's no onClick. OnClick, we want to call that onComment function that is declared in the parent component. So let's come down here and create an interface for that to represent the comment input props. Comment input props. This is going to be a function called onComment, and the type of this we can just declare as a callback that returns nothing. This is how you do that in TypeScript. Inside of the comment input, let's declare the props, which are going to be of type comment input props. OnComment, and now on click of this button, we want to call onComment. Okay, so now if I click on comment, it's still not doing anything. Oh, so now TypeScript's mad. It's telling us that we're not passing in the onComment function. So let's start with the top level. OnComment, we're passing in our top level onComment function, which is this. What is this saying? Is not assigned. Oh, sorry. So for our onComment props, to declare it in TypeScript, we want to declare that it has an input of type, or a new comment input of type comment. And then here, what's the best way to do this? Comment input. Should we create like a separate function? I think just doing it in line is fine. So when we click the button, we want to essentially call the onComment function and pass in our new comment. The body of the comment is going to be our comment body, and we're going to initialize every new comment with an empty comments array, like that. Okay. Now, if I come back up here, our parent level or our top level comments should work. So if I say add a comment, okay, so we can add top level comments. I'm just forgetting to actually empty the input here. So let's change this to a function that does onComment, but then sets comment body to be an empty string. So this is new comment. Okay, so we can add top level comments. However, we cannot yet add nested comments because we're not passing in the function. So if I say onComment, pass in our onComment function. This is a different onComment function because, I mean, it's doing the same thing, but it's declared in the comment item rather than at the top level. And this is where this infinite nested functionality is sort of happening. Okay, so when I should be able to create new comments for each comment. However, they're not going to be rendered on the UI yet because we're not doing anything with this comments state. Again, this comment state on line 49 is the comments comment. Again, bear with me here. Our state should be updating. So if I inspect any one of these particular comment items, I can go to the props here and I can say, okay, this has 0 comments. Or we're going to be more concerned with the state. Why is this undefined? False undefined comment dot comments. We have declared comments. Let's refresh here. I think we need to refresh. So our comment input is rendering. So we have our comment item. Yeah, so our each comment item has an empty comments array. If I add a comment to comment 2, hey, comment 2, if I click comment, it's put onto comment 2's comments, or it's put into the state. So now we're updating each comment item's comments state, and now we want to essentially down here iterate through all of those comments and do the same thing we were doing in the top level comments. We want to create a comment item for each nested comment. Again, we can do this exact same functionality down here, and this is where this infinite nesting is going to happen. So on each comment item, underneath the input, let's do this. Comment item. So comments dot comment. I'm even getting confused. This is a complex problem for me as well. So like, bear with me as I sort these thoughts out in my mind, because it is confusing with this recursive thing. Because inside of comment item, we're recursively calling comment item, right? Like we have this function calling itself, because again, this is what happens when you have this infinite nesting thing. So if I click comment, or comment on comment 3, hey dude, nice comment. There we go. Now the comment is showing up. So this is comment 3's comments. If I should be able to reply to now the nested comments. I am commenting on comment 3's comment. There you go. And so now we have this nested functionality here. And it can basically appear, or we can do infinite nesting. But I wanted to kind of have this like tree-like visual thing, so it's clear. So how can we do that? I think we just need to maybe add some padding to the comment item, maybe for each individual comment item. What if we added like a padding of 2? There we go. Okay, beautiful. So now we're seeing this nested functionality here. And let's maybe for each comment item container, let's wrap all of the nested comments. Whoops, what did I just do? Let's wrap all of the nested comments in a div that has a gap property so that we can kind of see. So let's refresh. So we have, this is comment 2. Let's reply to comment 2. Okay, see, this is where the style, if it's not styled properly, it gets really confusing what we're actually looking at. So let's add some margin bottom to the comment body here. Class name 2. Comment body. Where is that being applied? Cancel. Oh, sorry, maybe that's the wrong place to put it. We want essentially spacing between the comment input. Let's maybe just add, yeah, maybe it's on these buttons here. Let's wrap the see, this is confusing to me as well. That's why I'm having trouble even formulating what to say. Margin top of 2. What does this look like? Margin bottom of 2. There we go. Okay, margin bottom 3. I just want to make it more clear on the UI what's happening. Okay. Okay, so if I click reply, you know what I'm actually going to do is on our comment input rather than add. Yeah, okay, let's undo that. Sorry. I feel like I'm confusing a lot of people more than I'm helping. Hopefully not. The comment input, we're going to make a margin top of 4. Okay, there we go. This is more clear. So let's reply to comment 3. I like this comment. If I comment, we have this nested comment, and I should be able to reply to this nested comment. Great thoughts, dude. Comment. And we have this infinite nesting. You can see that this tree-like structure is happening, which is exactly what's happening on Reddit here. We have this inward movement depending on the threads. On each comment item, to again make this a bit more clear, let's add a margin y of 3. So we have some spacing here, maybe 4. There we go. Comment, this is comment 1. Great, nice, dude. Just really creative comments. So I can have a bunch of, top level comments on comment 1, but then I can reply to any one of those given nested comments. Yeah, I agree. Thanks. So now we have the tree-like structure for each individual comment. So this is how you can do this nested functionality on the front end using React to replicate the nested functionality that Reddit has. Again, it is tricky to wrap your mind around this. Even me still, I'm a bit confused because it's just challenging. Anytime I'm not good at recursion, I find it really tricky to fathom recursion. It's just a hard thing to it's a tricky concept, and it's mind-boggling. So my apologies if I didn't explain that in the clearest way possible, but this code does work if you are interested in creating like a forum of any kind with this infinite threading. This is a very common functionality you see on many websites, this infinite functionality or the infinite nesting. This is how you can do it. The discussion as how to model this in your backend and store this in the database is a whole other conversation, and maybe I'll make a whole video on that, discussing that, because that's an interesting problem as well. Again, modeling the database with this is tricky as well, and it's hard to wrap your head around. So let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video, if this was helpful at all, or if you're confused. I can try to explain things in more detail if you're confused, and maybe let me know if you're interested in how you would model this on the back end or store this in the database, and how you would actually query these comments if you were actually building a full stack application. So thank you guys so much for watching. I wanted to show how to do this because it's an interesting problem. It's cool React practice, and it shows you how to create independent state on each item. Yeah, cool problem, fun to solve. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will see you guys in the next one.